started in Swift Current. So I grew up in a Christian family. So we always went to church with my family, Sunday school, Bible school. Got into high school, continued doing this. And then it wasn't like a personal relationship with God that I had, just more something that was based off my parents. So then after I finished high school, I jumped into university here, started coming to College Drive, and yeah, I kind of thought I was doing okay, like with the whole Christianity thing. Like I was out of the house, I'd made the decision to come to church by myself. So I thought, yeah, I'm doing good. Like I have a pretty solid relationship with God. And then that summer I went to Japan for 2 months to a Bible school program. And the first weekend I was there, I just saw on Facebook actually that a friend back home had passed away. She was in a quadding accident, and yeah, so she passed away from that. And I kind of struggled, I did struggle with that one. Like I really questioned God on it, kind of why now? She was like an amazing person, just had a smile that could light up a room, and just a really, really solid person. And so that evening at Bible school, we had a chapel together. And one of the things that we did was we had a quiet time before chapel began. So there's like a verse always up on the board, and we could just take time to reflect and pray. So that evening I took advantage of that. And the verse that was up there was 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 16 to 18. And it says, "Always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances." And I kind of laughed. I was like, I'm not really thankful. I don't want to be joyful right now. And I'm like, Lord, no. Like, this doesn't make sense right now. Like, how can you find joy in a death? And why should I be thankful? So I kind of just got more angry at God, or was not having it. And then that evening following chapel, I was talking to a friend, and he had also experienced something similar. A friend passed away of his, and this happened in high school, so a couple years back. And he talked about a peace, like that he had peace in the situation, that he had just peace about his friend's death, and that he knew that God had better plans in this situation than what he understood. And I couldn't comprehend what he was saying. I was like, yeah, that sounds good, but like, man, like, I don't know where you're coming from. This sounds crazy. And so it was a good conversation, but I didn't really believe what he was saying. I didn't believe that verse in the Bible. And so continuing in Japan, I was still kind of searching for this peace that my friend was talking about, kind of wondering where it was and why I didn't have it, or just what it felt like to experience this. And while I was in Japan as well, the idea was brought to me that I should pray about my plans following the summer. I hadn't really done that. Like, I attended university because it was convenient. I'd received a scholarship to come. And so I went, yeah, sounds good. Like, God must have handed that to me. Like, that's an open door. I knew a couple people here. Open door, right? So I started praying about what God wanted me to do. And I said, Lord, like, if you want me to do something else, like, I need someone to take over my lease. I was paying for summer rent here so that I could live with some friends when I was coming back. And for some reason, God placed in my head the word Friday, and just kind of left it at that. So I didn't really tell anyone what I was praying about, didn't tell anyone back home what was happening, or if I was looking for a roommate. And then a friend messaged me on Friday saying, hey, I'm looking for a roommate. Do you know of anyone? I said, no, but I'm looking for someone to take over my lease. And so on Friday, my lease was taken over. And I went, well, okay, now what, God? So as I was going through this, I was experiencing God's peace for the first time that surpassed my circumstances, which I had never experienced before. And then I told my parents what was happening and what I was thinking and praying about, and that my lease was taken over. My dad just said no. Plain out said, no, you're not doing anything else. You're coming back to school. You're coming back to Lethbridge. But I still had this peace, and I went, that's okay. Like, I know Mom will work on you. I know God will work on you a little bit. And there's just this peace that just surrounded, like, my dad saying no, like the opportunity to come back here in Lethbridge. And I started to understand my friend who had talked about this peace and finding peace when it didn't make sense to find peace. And I still didn't understand why God had taken my friend. I still wrestle with it sometimes. But I knew that I wanted more of this peace and that I wanted it to flow into other parts of my life. Yeah, so after Japan, I went to Albania, did a year of Bible school. It was an amazing year. And then I really got to see how surrendering to God's plan allows God to really work in your life and just kind of blow you away. And then after my year in Albania, I was living in Germany last year. And then this past summer, I was working at a camp, so SABC. And through the past 2 years, I was learning to continue to surrender to God, continuing to find joy. And it's not always easy. So at camp, 1 week was especially hard for me. I had 2 girls in my cabin, and they're kind of like fire and fuel. One would just set the other off. Never in my life have I been yelled at so much in 1 week. And just, like, one would get mad at me because I was trying to help her, or just like asking, are you okay? And she'd just yell and start swearing, and it kind of shocked me. Like I had no idea why they have this anger or where it was coming from. And Tuesday evening, so like second day of camp, and I was done. So done. Like, completely felt exhausted. And so Wednesday morning, as I was walking back to the cabin after I'd brushed my teeth and gotten ready, I was like, Lord, I don't want to go back. Just like praying as I was walking back, I'm like, I can't do it. And through the midst of it all, I forgot to surrender, forgot that my joy was not based on my circumstances. And it kind of surprised me. Like, as I was walking, I just stopped and just felt like, no, I can't do this, but that's okay. Like, it's not my job to do it, it's God's. I was reminded of the verse in 1 Thessalonians that says, always be thankful, and to keep praying. So as I continued to practice these, another verse showed up. It says, don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace that exceeds anything we can understand. And that really helped me in the rest of the week, and especially that day. That day was kind of the worst day in the week. And I was learning to thank God for bringing these girls into my cabin instead of wishing they were in someone else's cabin, and to thank Him for allowing Him to work through me in these girls' lives. And Wednesday evening, I was sitting on the deck with my co-cabin leader, and we were just kind of going over the day's events and kind of catching up and telling each other how it went and how we're doing. We both looked at each other and we were like, this was not us. Like, there's no way we could have got through this day. We had these girls blow up at each other multiple times. One of us was always running after someone, or being yelled at, or being screamed at. And it was so cool to be able to sit on that deck and be able to say, we didn't do that. And to just have that peace again wash over us. And sometimes it's really encouraging to see immediate results sometimes, like from praying and surrendering to God and saying, yep, we can't do it, but Lord, you can. Those are the best moments, when you can see the results, like that evening, like at camp. But sometimes it's not so easy, like when I was in Japan struggling with my friend's death. And to be able to say, Lord, I'm thankful for this. Sometimes it doesn't happen right away. We don't get to see the bigger picture that He does. And so my story continues and God keeps on teaching me and reminding me to be thankful, to allow Him to work in the situation when I don't see hope, or when I don't see a reason to be thankful, a reason to be joyful. And it's really cool to be able to come to the Lord and say, okay, I don't know what's happening, but that's okay. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes my circumstances overwhelm me completely, and it's nothing that I'm ready to do. There's just anger or fear. But at the end of it, it's really cool to see God's hand at work and just his peace overwhelming.